The Key Within. It was the summer of 1995, and Audalie Desmoulins had been in a coma for 14 days. Athanase, her only son, was sitting hunched over beside her hospital bed in the darkened room. He reached for his mother's small, frail hand and held it in the warmth of his own. Athanase was a rather slight young man in appearance, but his eyes, the color of smoke, betrayed a pain far beyond his years. Looking down at his mother, his eyes filled with tears that ran down his cheeks unchecked as a chain of nightmarish happenings that had assailed his little mother came back to haunt. He had gone through so much and suffered so needlessly, thought Athanase. Who can blame her for disappearing into a secret place? She looked so peaceful, sleeping in her dark cocoon, with her hair wreathed around her head, he whispered to himself. As he stood up to leave, the overhead light came on, and he was shocked to see a kaleidoscope of colors that had assaulted her lovely face. Athanase stood as he usually did, from when a child, awkward, eyes large, raw like saucers, and totally defenseless. He knew the nurses, doctors, and all others saw only empty spaces on Audel's face, but Athanase could see and read the terrors of memories racing across her face, causing him to yell out inwardly, "I'll find a way, Mama. I promise. I'll bring you back." Athanase felt he had to act quickly, as he believed his mother was being slowly tormented to death in her cocoon of sleep. He must bring her back from her secret place. As Athanase dragged himself away from the hospital, he decided to walk home rather than hop on a bus. Soon he was steeped once more into a continuing reverie of the past nightmares. Athanase was only 18 years old, but he understood pain, as his mother had been subjected to it always when his father was alive. He had hated his father, and he had feared him, always. His father, Normand, a huge man, was inclined to drink to excess, at which time Athanase and his mother became punching bags. This latest binge, 2 weeks prior in the confines of their small house, was a vicious one. Normand's intent was to hurt. That evening, Normand was unrelenting in his beating of Audale, breaking her nose and cheekbone among others in the process. He was out of beer and wanted more, and grabbing his keys to the car, kicked Audale like a pile of dirty laundry into the corner of the room. Then, in a painful cry, in spite of, Audale whimpered, "Athanase, drive your father." But Athanase, glancing with hate in his father's bloodshot, blurry eyes, refused to leave her. As Normand drove off, he lost control of the car, veered into a bus shelter, killing 2 people, but continued on his way, driving drunkenly along the subway route. The C train ripped the rear bumper off of the car, but otherwise left it unscathed, leaving Normand pinned in his car, choking to death on his own vomit. Meanwhile, back at the house, Athanase phoned for an ambulance, and his mother was rushed to the hospital once more. When a couple of policemen entered the hospital room to advise Athanase and Audale of Normand's death, Athanase's mother, with her final thought, being the horrifying smell of her own blood, withdrew visibly into herself, resultant of the shock of her husband's untimely death and her final beating. All of the pain and terrors and the wrongness that had come to pass caused her to spin herself into a chill cocoon spun by threads thin as the breath within. She could oscillate minutely to the timing of her slow, steady pulse. Externally, she was a mental vegetable, virtually catatonic. She had entered a secret place, restraining entrance to all, including her own son. In spite of doctors' reports, Athanes refuses to believe the futility of his quest for an awakening. There is a key to his mother's depths within. He had to find it. He must overcome the raging terrors in the recesses of her brain and try to bring forth meaningful memories from her past. But how to begin?